Hi, my name is Igor Kafetz, and this is the List Building Lifestyle, the only podcast which delivers cutting-edge conversion strategies from the online trenches straight to your earbuds. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. I also invite you to grab a free copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. And now, once again, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle. Welcome back to another edition of the List Building Lifestyle with your host, Igor Kafetz. There's two specific things about you that get people to buy from you. They either like you or they feel you're trustworthy, or both. If you fail to elicit these two judgments from your potential customers, I guarantee they'll leave you for someone who does. And if no one in the entire marketplace elicits these emotions, they'll buy from whoever is on the first page of Google. Your conversion rates are directly proportionate to how likable and trustworthy you are as a person, not as a place of business or a marketing brand. Then to secondary factors such as having a superior product, better price, or faster customer support. Your customers will tolerate all your flaws and your product's flaws because they prefer and insist on doing business with people they like and trust. Since you're a raging fan of the List Building Lifestyle Show, I doubt I've shared anything you didn't already know. But I had to set the stage for what I'm about to show you next. What if you could build instant rapport with people over any media, email, video, audio, webinar, direct mail, anything, by generating a higher like score with a simple technique? Don't worry, it's not some shady manipulation tactic. It's not about saying what the prospect wants to hear or using some special phrase that magically turns off your prospect's sales defense. No, it's much simpler. It's much more honest too, because most rapport building advice encourages you to match your behavior to the other person's style. You sort of have to fake who you are for a while to get them to like you. I call bullshit on such advice, and I know I'm going to piss off a lot of those NLP and persuasion gurus, and I don't care. The way you get more people to like you is by fully owning all of your flaws. Now, quick disclaimer, you can't get everyone to like you, and it's not the goal here either. The goal is to get help for you to attract enough perfect customers to earn six figures from home. For that, you just need several thousand people at most, usually much less, probably around a couple of hundred. So how does this work? And let me share a real world example with you, of an actual person, a real person who does this for a living. He's a professional nothing doer, okay? And he's fully capable of supporting himself and his family because he's got a raving database, a raving fan base of just a couple of hundred people who follow him into any opportunity that he wants. Now, his name is David. It's a real name. And this guy, he attracts people through a couple of simple techniques. But the first one, and the one that stands out the most, is that he just doesn't care if you like him or not. He's just very honest about all of his flaws and all of his, bad things, if you will, bad character things. Like, he is absolutely honest and open about it up front when he starts a relationship with you. And, when you position yourself that way, when you just call yourself out on all the things that people are supposed to hate you for, the opposite becomes true. People just can't hate you for it anymore. And this sort of becomes your thing. When you fully own all of your negative elements, right? When you fully own the dark side of yourself, when you fully own that, people instantly like you and respect you way more than if you were trying to hide all those things and try to pretend to be someone you're not. Okay, so that's one way to do it. The other thing you really have to do, and it's not so much as far as doing it, but more so applying the right mindset to your behavior, and that is to not give a fuck about whether or not someone likes you based on your character and your behavior. In other words, when you own your flaws, when you own the dark side of yourself and you are openly showing it, not necessarily shoving it in people's faces, but just openly talk about it and openly behave a certain way and just be honest about it with people. The other side of it, okay, the other stage of this behavior is to be okay if someone hates you. Now, you have to recognize that a lot of people will hate you regardless. Whether or not you behave the way they want you to behave, they will hate you just because people are like that. And at the same time, there's going to be a lot of people who recognize you for being completely independent and being able to be vulnerable to, because honesty in relationships is vulnerability, and that usually leads to better, more wholesome confidence, right? When people see that in you, they will appreciate you more for it, and they will find you more trustworthy and real. Because today in this world, everybody tries to hide behind some kind of a mask, be it because of the product they're marketing, be it because of they got some agenda, be it because they just want you to like them so bad. But whatever the case, people do hide behind masks, and they pretend to be someone who they're not. They're basically fake. So when you show up for real, even if you show up as somebody who they may not necessarily agree with, they'll still like you and respect you and find you trustworthy because you don't try to hide behind a mask. And by doing so, by A, owning your dark side, and B, not being needy about other people liking you, you will automatically start attracting more people. Now, this applies to your marketing as well. When you put out communication to your list, when you shoot videos, when you produce any kind of content, what I see a lot of people do, they try to be neutral, they try to be vanilla, where they, really work hard to not offend anyone. They're like Canada, you know what I mean? Like, they sort of express an opinion trying not to get in a fight with anyone. But when you do that, nobody will respect you, nobody will like you, and no one will find you trustworthy, especially when it comes to marketing products and getting people to join your income opportunity. So my advice to you is to make a list of all the flaws of you as a person, as well as a list of all the flaws of your product or your system. Literally, be super critically honest about why it sucks and why it's awesome. Just be able to openly present the case to your customers and your potential clients and say, look, the thing I love about this is ABC. But here's the thing I really hate about it, A, B, C, D, whatever, right? And by doing so, you're truly allowing the customer to make a buying decision and not make the customer feel like you're sort of trying to, sort of manipulate them into a buying decision, because that's when they, kind of smell this stuff and try to run the other way from you. So the other thing is, when you present in front of a camera or when you write emails and you try to inject your personality, don't be afraid to express an opinion. Just be honest. Just if you hate Trump, just say you hate him. If you love Trump, say you love him. If you hate, an expert of some kind, even if that expert is highly respected, like let's just say if I was writing an email to my list about email marketing, right? So I subscribe to the school of thought of Ben Settle. And the school of thought of Ben Settle is basically the Seinfeld of email, which means each email is not connected to the previous one. You can send them in any sort of like sequence you want. And the way to write them is to write your emails about pretty much just nothing. So if you found a fly in your soup today, you can write an email about it. And actually, that'd be the Ben Settle style of email. Now, there's another school of thought about email by Andrew Chaperon. And Andrew Chaperon preaches Oprah sequences. So you basically have to become a screenwriter and write a 90-day, this ridiculously long and ridiculously complex email sequence with characters and plot lines and twists and unexpected endings and all that stuff. Well, I don't know. When I try to choose between the two sequences or the two schools of thought, obviously I'm going with the Seinfeld because it's much easier. It's like, writing an email in 10 minutes and making money from it, as opposed to sitting down and taking 3 months to just understand the concepts behind writing screenplays. So then you can write a 14-day sequence to sell a $9 ebook. Makes no sense to me. So I am able to openly disagree with Andrei Chaperon, but of course it's not like I'm trying to put him down or anything like that, because he's obviously making money with that thing, but I'm able to express my opinion clearly and visibly and definitely and say, this is not my cup of tea. I do not agree with that philosophy. Maybe it works for someone else, but it definitely doesn't work for me. This is the philosophy I subscribe to. And by doing so, I'm obviously going to repel people who believe that Andrei's strategy is superior. But at the same time, I'll attract people who, share my thoughts and my ideas about this method, and they'll come in and they'll become my customers. Now, The example I just gave you is actually a real world example because I often do talk about these two schools of thought of email. And I even hosted Andre and Ben Settle on this show where we openly discussed these concepts. And believe it or not, a big a portion of my customer base subscribes to both Andre and Ben Settle, as well as the people who talk about them in our community. And they're perfectly fine with me and them not being in full agreement about how these emails need to get done. It doesn't stop them from being my customers. It doesn't stop them from liking and trusting me because they know they're getting someone who's for real. So next time you sit down to create a marketing piece, a content piece, next time you sit down to talk about your product or someone else's product, next time you put out any communication to your audience, your list, or just people you don't even know and you're trying to make a good first impression, remember, don't be needy for their approval because by being needy for their approval, you're automatically repelling them. And be open and honest about your dark side. Okay, don't be obnoxious about it, but be open and honest because those are the two ways you instantly become more likable and more trustworthy in their eyes. And as a result, they're much more likely to become your customers. So thank you again for tuning in to another episode of The List Building Lifestyle with your host, Igor Kafetz. And until next time we chat, have a good one. Thank you for listening to The List Building Lifestyle. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play to never miss an episode. Because who knows, just one conversion tactic we share on the show might double your list and double your business. Download the transcript of today's episode and all future episodes at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. And don't forget to claim your complimentary copy of the Wealthy List Builder Survival Guide at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com/survival. This is Igor Kafetz, and until next time we talk, have a good one.